Hello everyone, my name is Stevie Callista and I am a soul blueprint alchemist, aka I use the magic of astrology to help other souls come back into alignment with themselves. And today I really want to talk about the changing of the guards, which is a term for the nodal axis changing, and it happens on July 17th, 2023. And this is like such a big astrological shift around the collective consciousness and what we'll all be going through individually and collectively. And it's a big shift, and so it deserves its own video. So the nodes are these 2 points, and everybody has the north and south node in their chart in some 2 signs opposite each other. And the north node really signifies where we're headed. It signifies like what brings us alive, what our mission is, the energy of newness. And the south node really signifies what we're moving away from, our karma. It signifies what we're healing, our shadow. And so they're not 2 separate things, they're one and the same. And we're always moving through this energy. And collectively speaking, these nodes shift every 18 months. And so when the nodes shift, we all really feel it. And just want to briefly talk about the past. And I'll put a link to my video of the last time I spoke about this when the nodes shifted 18 months ago. But between 2020 and 2022, the nodes were in Gemini and Sagittarius. And that meant that the north node was in Gemini and the south node was in Sagittarius. So we saw a lot of Sagittarian shadow, right? We were all restricted around travel, which is Sagittarius. But at a greater, more spiritual level, we were all struggling to not hold our truth as like what should be everyone's truth, right? We saw this a lot in the collective, like my truth should be your truth. And that was like the cancel culture era time, which I know is still going on, but really we were moving more towards Gemini, which is more openness and curiosity and having conversation and asking, well, like, what's your perspective on this? And interesting, like, this is my perspective. And Gemini is like the data collector and always staying open. So we moved through that period of time, right, where we were healing our Sagittarian shadow, which meant that a lot of people were healing their judgments. I know I felt this very much, like healing judgment of like automatically judging something when I saw something or heard something. It's like I'm so much more open now after moving through that energy, and I'm so grateful for it because I'm much more likely to not stand so solid in my beliefs, because Gemini really teaches us that we're able to collect some data or have an experience and change our beliefs completely, which is such a beautiful gift. So then after that, in, I believe, when was it? Early 2022, we moved into Taurus and Scorpio. So north node Taurus, south node Scorpio. And this access point is all about feeling and being in the body, being embodied. And the north node in Taurus really has been asking us, like, well, what does safety mean in our body? What do I value? What's important to me? Taurus is Mother Nature, resources, really becoming like aware of your own sense of I have, or your own sense of possession and value. And Scorpio, the shadow, we've been all moving through trauma. This has really given us the opportunity to like go into the caves and like pull up stuff that's been like at the bottom of the ocean so that we can really face it within ourselves, do a lot of healing. I'm sure for a lot of people it's meant, you know, really getting into the body to heal physically, stuff that we've put into our tissues. You know, we saw resource scarcity with the gas and all kinds of other things with these access points. Like, again, it affects us all personally and collectively. So I'll post a video about Taurus and Scorpio, so you can, if you feel like going back and kind of looking back to see what you've been through the last 18 months, I always think that's a beautiful practice, not to stay in the past, but just to reflect on how far and how much you've grown. And for me personally, I've grown a lot around what can feel safe for me and be really honest with myself about what I went through as growing up and not feeling safe, right? And healing a lot of that stuff to find inner security. And also just healing the wound around that my values matter to me, and that values can change. right? You can heal something and then your values can change, or you can face something about yourself, face a fear, because Scorpio South Node has really also taught us to face the scary parts of ourselves, face our as a society, how scared we are of death, right? Like that's something that Scorpio South Node definitely teaches us. It's like the transition or the transformation is okay. And now on July 17th, which is this coming Monday, we move into Libra and Aries. Okay, so this is a huge shift, right? The changing of the guard it's a really big deal. And what's going to go down, and we're already seeing this, Aries is self and Libra is you. So me and you. It's the mirroring effect. It's like, what is mine? What is yours? What is ours? How do we be in relationship with each other together without over compromising or people pleasing? And what we're all going to be facing, the shadow of Libra, right? The South Node is the shadow. We will be facing the people pleaser in us. And I know for a lot of you, myself included, that's huge. We were mostly taught, a lot of us were taught, never want to make an absolute, this is for everyone, but a lot of us were taught to put another person before us to a complete and total detriment of our own needs, right? Like be polite and give them a hug and just do things that were not okay with us. And so this is going to mean our relationships are really, really going to change. Our relationship with ourselves, especially our relationship with ourselves. This is Aries energy, and I'm pretty excited for it because I really appreciate the Aries Taurus axis, because so much of our karmic work and our soul's work has to do with healing our relationship wounds and taking our power back, right? And this is going to mean like the places that you've been avoiding conflict, right? The places that you have lacked balance, like these things are going to be front and center. No longer being able to harmonize something that's not yours to harmonize. And I know for a lot of us too, that's definitely one of my shadows, is feeling responsible to harmonize another person to a total fault, to a place where I'm left with, well, what the hell? Like I completely lost myself there. And I was doing it selfishly because I hated the disharmony, right? That's total Libra shadow. So those peeps that are watching that have Pluto in Libra, which is a whole generation of us, and I don't remember the dates, I'm sorry about that. It's like, I want to say it's all the way up to 1984. It starts in the 70s and goes till 1984. If you were born during that period of time, if you have Saturn in Libra, if you have Libra placements, and even if you don't have Libra placements, we all face this in society. It's going to be really a time where we're really being asked to face that selfish need, right? Like I've come to terms with the fact that it's selfish of me to want to harmonize a situation. And I also feel responsible for it. And it's not my job. It's not my karma. It's not, I can either, if it's not okay with me, I can back away. I can have my own boundaries, right? But it's not my job to harmonize every situation just because I'm pretty good at it, right? And we've all become pretty good at it because we've been forced into this situation of not having our own sovereignty and not knowing what our own truth is. So this whole 2023 into 2024, the invitation here is for us to really face the shadow of us, people pleasing, over compromising, and coming back to ourselves and back to our own individual sense of truth. And what I love so much about Aries is that it's so clear about who it is. Like, I don't know if you've noticed this, if you have Aries in your chart, if you have transiting stuff in Aries, like when we have, like Mercury or the Sun or Venus or anything in Aries, I always get this I get this clarity. Like, oh my gosh, this is my truth. This is just mine. This is me. This is permission to do my thing. And so that's really what we're all going to be doing. And it's going to be rocky. This means a lot of relationships are going to be up for question. A lot. We're all going to be reevaluating. And what's really fascinating about this time period is as soon as the nodes shift, just a few days later, Venus goes retrograde. And Venus is how we love, what we love, our feelings, our desires, our feminine energy, how we want to show up in relationship, what we value, our worthiness. Like Venus is so important, just like they all are. But when she retrogrades, which is every 18 months, how interesting, right? We all get to question this. We all get to say, Is that what I want? Is this in alignment with my values? Have my values changed? Is this how I want to show up in relationship? And we're all asked to like slow down and reevaluate like what is important to us. This also brings up a sense of like the invitation is to go inward to see what are your feelings? What are your feelings, right? And do your feelings and values, have they shifted to the point where you need to make some changes in your life? Maybe it's not the right person for you. Maybe it's like a friend relationship, or it could be any relationship. It could be just the relationship to yourself. But how fascinating that we're moving into the nodal axis of me and we. And then at the same time, Venus is like, hang on, stop, you know, and until the beginning of September, so all of August, we're going to be all facing this slow period where sometimes it's frustrating because we can't get our desires met and we're trying so hard. But what the invitation is, and always with astrology, things are not bad or good, they're just invitations. And you can choose to invite yourself into the flow of that energy, and it's so much easier when you move with the cycle, right? Versus like trying to hit the wall against it. We all do that. But the invitation with this one is to really go down and in and ask ourselves, like, what is my truth? What do I value? How do I want to love? How do I want to be desired? What are my desires? Have they changed? Maybe my desires are like what was taught, that was told to me. Maybe I have to reprogram myself, right? Like, and really think about this. It's a beautiful invitation to do this. And yes, it can also be frustrating because as humans, we get frustrated, especially during retrogrades, myself included. So how interesting. Venus is retrograde right when the nodes change. And there's another layer to this sandwich. So July, August, September, we are, and you know, for the next 18 months, but especially this like end of summer period, winter if you're in the other hemisphere, we're going to be really faced with ourselves. Like, look at the mirror. What mirrors are you choosing? What do you want? Like, what are your feelings? What are your feelings, right? Like, we're all sparks of God or creation or source. We're all one. We're all like little individual sparks. We all have the same root. But we chose as humans to come into a body, to individuate, to be like, okay, well, I'm going to play God, or I'm going to play source, like with this face or this body and these experiences and this karma, and I'm going to school for this. Like, and that comes like, that's where the ego comes in, right? And the ego isn't always bad. It's just showing us like our individual selves and what's our truth here. So we're all going to be facing these things within us. But the other layer to this sandwich is that Pluto will be squaring the nodes. And when you have a square, it's tension, right? When you have a triangle or a sextile in astrology, these are harmonious flow aspects. But squares are challenges, and squares are really where we face our karma. And it's really, I like the square. And maybe I'm always the astrologer to be like, I like Saturn, I like Pluto, I like whatever. Because it brings change and it forces us to face. And then once we do, we're like, okay, I needed to grow. I needed to move. At least that's how I try to look at it. Not always in the moment, of course. I'm not always like, ooh, yay, challenge. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like those are the moments where you really actually grow as a soul. And Pluto is transformation, death and rebirth, shadow, so related to our soul, so related to our soul's work. Like the soul's work that we brought in from past lifetimes, the soul's work that's like deep in our tissues and deep in our ancestry and deep in our root. Pluto asks you to go all the way down, all the way in, all the way to the whatever darkness to find those pieces that need to be burned so that they can be reborn again. So he's no joke. And he can, you know, a lot of astrologers, a lot of people are scared of Pluto, but like, don't be scared. Like, invite his energy in. Ask yourselves, what in my life needs transformed? What layer do I need to peel? Right? And you can always ask for help from your guides. That's why they're there. Like, because they're supporting you all the time when you don't realize it. What do I need right now to shed? So when the nodes square Pluto collectively and individually, we are all going through it. We will all go through a shed. And it's most of July and a little bit of August that this kind of goes down. A little bit of September. So Venus, during the Venus retrograde, how interesting. We're all going to be asked to shed and grow and be reborn again at a soul level. So sometimes that means you get shoved. Sometimes that means something happens that's where you have to face the shadow, you have to face the trauma. And the invitation with this is to look at it, like invite it to the table. Hello, oh my word, you've never been able to be seen. This piece of myself has never been invited to the table. It's never had a seat. It's never had a voice. And we can do so much healing with this. And after this whole period is over, right, let's say like October, November, maybe even 18 months from now, we will have changed at an individual level. Like we will have figured out our truths. We will have transformed our relationships if we heed this call, if we flow with this energy. And that's really what astrology teaches us, is that we're giant energy bodies, right? And energy comes in from the cosmos, which we are part of the cosmos. We're all made of stardust. But we're connected to Earth, right? But we're these energy bodies that feel all this energy that come in. So there's a reason why you feel a certain way on a certain day, and then on another day you feel different, or another week, or another month, or another year. We're all moving through the spiral of cycles, and we sometimes revisit the same cycle, but we're at a different angle of the cycle. That's really like what the spiral means. And anyways, it's a really potent period of time. And I know astrologers are always saying that, God, this is so important. But they all are. Every transit, every energy body is always important. But my message here is to come back to yourself, ask your higher self, like, what is it that I need to shed? How do I need to transform? What do I need to know? How can I use my relationships to find more out about myself and my own truth? And how can I renegotiate my relationship so that it's more true to myself? And that can be really, really scary. I don't know about you, but confrontation for me is like the hardest thing ever. And I have Mars and Saturn and Pluto and Libra, and it makes my whole body shake. Like it's not something I was taught, not something that is just really hard for me. And so I know that this season of time is going to push me, right, to say things that maybe I wouldn't have said before, really stand up for myself, or just be more true with what my truth is and my own sovereignty. And I hope for you that it can help you do that as well. And during this Venus retrograde, and I may post another video about just this, but Venus retrograde is really going to ask you to get real with your feelings. And maybe if there's some feelings that have been lurking in the caves for a while, they're going to come to the surface. So invite them to the table. Allow yourself to feel whatever it is that's coming up, even if it sucks, even if you're suffering, even if it's really hard. Like, that is the human experience, right? To not hold on to the feeling like you're holding onto a boulder, but to like allow the feeling in, and then it can be transmuted, be alchemized. So yeah, and if, this is going to be a period of time where like we're all going to be really looking at our relationships and looking at ourselves really, really potently. And the work that I get to do with my clients is exactly this. I get to support them for either, I have 2 containers, 4 months or 12 months. And I get to support them in really taking a look at, what is your mission here? What am I here to do? What am I here to heal? How am I here to really embody my gifts and like stand in my power and be empowered and be worthy of this life that I want for myself? That is what I get to do with my clients. I get to help them come back to themselves, come back to their center, come back to their soul self, because I get to look at the soul blueprint, right? The birth chart is a soul blueprint, and I get to guide and support. But they have to be willing to do the work, right? That's the Aries energy. It's like, I'm willing to do something new. I'm willing to pioneer. So if you're interested in having some very intimate one-on-one support with me, send me a message, send me an email. My website is farmhousemoon.com. Send me a DM. We can get on a 30-minute phone call and just chat about where you are now, where you actually want to be. Like, what's that life? What's that, what's that in flow state for you? What does that look like? What would make you feel like you're totally empowered and more in flow of your life and more like lit up and feeling alive in your soul, right? Like, we all get stuck in these places, and often we get stuck in that South Node energy because it's comfortable, because we've had a lot of past lives there. So my work has a lot to do with the soul. Like, where did you come from? Where are you going? What's your mission? What are you here to heal? How can you really like step into the more higher vibrational version of yourself and really allow the shadow self, which never goes away, it's always there, like to have a seat at the table and just to give it a voice. Like I get to help and support, and it's the most beautiful, rewarding work I've ever done in my entire life. And if that's something that is like really calling you, if you've done a lot of healing and you're feeling like you just need some support to like pull in this future version of yourself, or really heal some parts that have been lingering for a long time, and you want a person to mirror back to you what they see. My goal and mission is always to empower people, so that you don't walk away feeling disempowered, so that you walk away knowing and being really clear about why you're here and what your gifts are and how to stand in them and honor them. And that is my mission here. And so we'll jump on a free 30-minute phone call. We'll chat about this. We'll see if you're right for the program. We'll see if I feel right for you. And it's like we feel each other out to make sure it's good alignment. I don't accept everybody into my program. I want to make sure that I can actually intuitively know that I'm going to be able to serve you, support you. And so that's something that, you know, we can do together if you feel called to do it. I would absolutely love it. Like I said, I have one container that's 4 months where we meet almost every week. And I have one container that's 12 months and we meet once a month, and it's more spread out. And some people like the longer support less often. And some people are like, I want to do this now. I'm ready. I'm at a 10 to make a change in my life. So if that feels like something you're interested in, please let me know. I'd love to jump on a call and see if I can support you. And, you know, just another thing too, like the Healy that I'm wearing right now, I'm not sure if you guys have heard about this, but it's a frequency tool that helps reharmonize your energetic field with whatever is off. So sometimes it's the liver, sometimes it's I'm thinking too much, sometimes it's my immune system, sometimes it's just I'm not being present. Like there's all kinds of programs that this thing runs. And it's been the most supportive, besides astrology, I would say, like this has been the most supportive tool I've ever had to help me find my center so that I can show up for people, for one thing, so that I can feel better in my body, so that my family and my pets and everyone can come back into alignment and literally be like harmonized in their energetic field. It does so much more than that, and that's a whole nother video, but if you're interested in just the Healy too, like please reach out to me, because I would love to chat to you about my experience, or if you have questions, or like you're like, what the hell is that thing? This is like something that I wear all the time. Someone in my family has it on. If it's not my dog, it's my daughter or me, and we're always using it. Unless it's recharging, it's on and working for us. So this is like such the future of medicine, in my opinion, is healing frequency. And we're going to be coming back to like those times where we use the Earth's frequency and we really understood our energetic bodies and how we can come back into a state of centeredness, healing. So this has been the best thing I've ever bought to support myself and my family in a very long time. So anyways, I'm very passionate about this little guy too, and if you are interested in that, just send me a message and we can nerd out. Otherwise, I hope you guys can navigate this Venus retrograde coming up with care and grace, and I hope that you receive whatever the medicine is that you need to receive for yourself to grow here at a soul level. And I'm sending you so much love.